Ladies and gentlemen, let me know if this stream is working. My goodness, I apologize for the delay. It's been a while since I live streamed, and OBS wasn't capturing the screen, or wasn't screen capturing. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I had to do, and I'm not really tech savvy, so I appreciate your patience, and I miss everyone here. I hadn't done a live stream in a long time, and I was just enjoying the uploads, and there was like, I would say, 5-6 months where I did live streams twice, 3 times a day, or I got really tired of just doing live streams, but now I miss them. So I said, why not do one this evening? I was actually going to tell everybody to be here tomorrow, but then I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and do a live stream and give you my Mitch McConnell, and
I missed everybody here. And Trump was so mean to me in that letter. Sully the good name of Mitch McConnell. How dare he do this?
Anyway, to my super chat, thank you so very much. You give me every incentive. Eric, H526, Luke St. Martin, thank you for being 2 amazing moderators as always. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start off with the following. We have JSpot51, thank you. Quantum Football, thank you. We have, ladies and gentlemen, a really interesting... There's a really interesting article that I want to read. And it is further confirmation of what I've been saying for a long time. President Trump runs the Republican Party. People don't understand that, and they don't get that. They can't possibly understand why President Trump... Well, first of all, they can't understand why people would vote for President Trump. So, foreign policy, like reversing 16 years of failed foreign policy, interventions, regime changes, that isn't important to the Democratic Party or many liberal Democrats. It's not important. Luke St. Martin! Thank you very much, Luke. And you and Eric H526 are fantastic. I missed you guys as well. And I'll try to do a live stream every day at least, like around this time and earlier. So, but Luke, thank you so very much. Eric, thank you. So I'm going to read you, everybody. I want to read you a really interesting article from YouGov. It's the Economist YouGov poll just out. Who has been the best president in U.S. history? Americans appear to be thinking mostly about the latest occupants in the White House as we look ahead to Monday's commemoration of President's Day. In the latest Economist YouGov poll, the most recent 2 former presidents receive most of the attention, with far fewer reaching back in history to name historical names whose February birthdays are the reason President's Day exists at all. President Barack Obama tops the list at 18%, just edging out Abraham Lincoln at 17%. Donald Trump comes in at 13%, ahead of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, 12%, Reagan, 10%, and George Washington, 9%. This is a poll of all voters, this is a poll that asks just voters in general. We'll get to Republicans in a second. President Joe Biden was not on the list. Okay, who is America's best president? Who is the best president in American history? Americans pick Obama, Lincoln, and Trump. But some context is needed here. President Trump received almost 92% negative media coverage. So you have 92% negative media coverage, ladies and gentlemen. 92% negative media coverage, and he's still third. Sanderford! Orwell, if we're consistently fighting for freedom somewhere or other, we are less likely to question their shenanigans at home. Exactly, Sanderford. Exactly. That's the thing. People vote for President Trump because of his policies, not because of his personality. In some cases, because of his personality. But people vote for President Trump because of his policies. That's what the appeal is. And people don't understand. Well, they say, well, President Trump was so divisive. He was polarizing. He's only polarizing and divisive to people that had a temper tantrum for 4 years. Now, President Trump should learn from his mistakes. He should learn from his mistakes. He should never have insulted LeBron James. He should never have insulted NFL athletes. He should learn from his mistakes and not, thank God he's not on Twitter anymore. So that's actually a really, really good thing. He's not on Twitter. What Twitter was able to do, and see, the thing is he fell for a trap. He accomplished great things. Abraham Accords, first president to step foot in North Korea. We had record low unemployment for most of his presidency. These are facts. You can't deny these facts. The problem is you can deny the facts. You can deny the facts if you focus only on his presence on social media. Then you can go ahead and deny. What he accomplished, because you can focus on the outrage in social media. That's the issue, ladies and gentlemen. If he's third right now with 92% negative media coverage and 74 million Americans voting for President Trump, and he's already taking control of the Republican Party, okay? If he's third right now, imagine, ladies and gentlemen, imagine if he was able to communicate. Imagine if he was able to communicate all the good things that he accomplished. That's the issue. The issue is building a political movement or political party, because the Republican Party is pretty much controlled by President Trump right now, but you have Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell, oh my goodness. You have Mitch McConnell, you have others like Ben Sasse, Mitt Romney. They're under the impression, the media fawns over Mitch McConnell and Ben Sasse because they say, well, here are the good Republicans. Well, they had their run with the good Republicans in the Lincoln Project. How many times did I tell everybody, ladies and gentlemen, how many times did I tell everybody, I oppose the Lincoln Project. I oppose the Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld foreign policy of the Lincoln Project. That's why. It's one of the reasons you vote for President Trump, because you oppose the Lincoln Project. You oppose business as usual in terms of the Republican Party. So when they try to make it out as there's this they try to pretend that there's some kind of ideological clash within the GOP. There isn't. You have Ben Sasse, Mitt Romney, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski. You have the Never Trumpers, Adam Kinzinger, okay, the Lincoln Project people, who are now completely discredited and disgraced, like I said they would be eventually. All of these people have the most scale. The people who focused their lives on condemning President Trump had the most skeletons in their closet. That's why, despite the social media outrage, President Trump still has a close to 90% or over approval rating within the Republican Party. You look at the Economist YouGov. Economist YouGov is not like a polling firm that is conservative. It's to the contrary. It's more liberal. And so you have the change in the GOP rankings since 2018, when the last survey was conducted, is striking. In 2018, Republicans ranked Reagan first, 36%, followed by Trump, 10%. Now the positions are reversed. Listen to this. With the percentage of Republicans who named Trump as the best president ever having tripled to 36%. Twice the number who still choose Ronald Reagan, 18%. So they choose Trump 2-1 over Ronald Reagan. Okay, that's huge. That's something that's real. That's something that you have to take into account with the negative media coverage. Okay, there was a concerted effort to take down President Trump. There was a concerted effort by every single journalist out there to only focus. There was zero investigative journalism on Democratic Party scandals or controversies. Zero. And there's still hardly any now. Basically, there's none. Aside from, you have Tom Fitton and you have some conservative journalists. But any type of investigative journalism, any type of inquiry into the scandals or controversies of the Democratic Party, what you get is the following. You get the New York Post's Twitter profile being banned or suspended. So what they'll do is any controversy that is a story that's breaking news that, that would tank the Democratic Party or tank Biden, what'll happen is they'll fabricate an excuse. Oh, it was the Russians. Oh, these emails were hacked, I mean, you can't really trust what's in the emails that Caligula, Biden's son, left within a laptop at a computer repair store. And when you leave a laptop at a computer repair store for like months or years, the ownership changes hands. So don't leave in a drunken stupor your computer at a computer repair store, because nothing good will come out of it. Okay? And then you have emails that are incriminating. Then you have emails that are just incriminating emails. And the incriminating emails show pay-to-play schemes. So when you have, ladies and gentlemen, when you have a scandal or a controversy, and the New York Post, the nation's oldest publication, the New York Post publishes and is the first to break a story that would obliterate any other campaign. Immediately Twitter is like, oh, well, you know what? This doesn't fall within the confines of our terms of service. So we just can't let people read about this, even though the Steele dossier was the actual definition of gossip, hearsay, a fabricated tinfoil hat story and theory that said Trump was in Moscow and he worked with Russia and everyone around him worked with Russia, with Russian intelligence officials. They didn't notice that the social media, whether it's Twitter or Facebook, they didn't care their algorithms or their emphasis on truth. Suddenly that was okay. The Steele dossier was okay. There's never any there are never any disclaimers when it comes to statements from Adam Schiff or anyone else that they have evidence that Trump worked with Russia, because they don't. They never did. That's why nobody was ever indicted or charged. It never happened. But there are only disclaimers. There were only disclaimers when President Trump said something, or said something that was hyperbole, or that would be seen as misleading. If it's an edited video of Trump, no problem. If it's an edited video of Democrats, oh my God, big problem. Oh my God, huge problem. And so, but see, again, all of this, like President Trump, we just had like the Super Bowl. You look at the NFL Combine, they run the 40-yard dash. President Trump has run a 4.3 40 with a 100-pound backpack called Media and Hollywood. Every night, Jimmy Kimmel devotes his life and existence to taking down President Trump. He's not even president anymore. Imagine if Kimmel and Stephen Colbert and all of Hollywood and the Washington Post and the New York Times devoted every second of their lives to Biden's son Caligula and his laptop and pay-to-play schemes and the Durham probe special counsel And the fact that you had FBI officials stating verbatim, we will stop Trump. But they don't care. So and they not only do they not care, they're actually pushing one vantage point to Hollywood and journalists who say, history won't be kind. 74 million Americans literally just don't exist. That's why, and look, President Trump, he fell for a trap. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, he fell for a trap. By the way, to my super chat, thank you. You give me every incentive to continue to rock these live streams, and I appreciate that. But he fell for a trap. He fell for a trap, and what he did was the following. The more that he kept getting them into this fury, this rage, the more that he kept, they poked him and they insulted him every single second of the day, Trump. They set him up. They tried to accuse him of working alongside Russia. It never happened. And President Trump said, well, why am I going to even reach out to half the country? Or why am I going to even reach out to anyone who might vote Democrat? And he said, okay, there are two different factions within U.S. politics. I'll preach to the choir. The problem, ladies and gentlemen, the problem was that preaching to the choir is okay. He now runs the Republican Party, but you still have Mitch McConnell, Ben Sasse, Mitt Romney. You had the Lincoln Project. They've imploded, so they're no longer influential in American politics. They're now completely radioactive. Everyone wants to just get as far away from them as possible. Everybody wants to get as far away from those people as possible, and rightfully so, because they're accused of engaging in the most despicable behavior. And it didn't take a rocket scientist to realize that, eventually, all their skeletons were going to come out of the closet. Same with Hollywood. Exactly. But he's surpassed Ronald Reagan as the most popular president in the GOP history, in the GOP's history, okay? And he's still up there in terms of history, in terms of the great presidents. And the reason is because of his accomplishments. We had record low unemployment throughout President Trump's presidency. That's the truth. The pandemic was not his fault. Okay, you're looking at what's taking place with Cuomo right now in New York. If you're paying attention, I can't talk about it too much because of the algorithm, but if you're paying attention, you realize that those skeletons are coming out also. You can't, this is the thing. Notice that President Trump has actually gained in popularity without Twitter. Why is that? Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. That's a really important point. He's gaining in popularity, and he didn't even need Twitter. He could go ahead and he's not even president now. And he came out with a statement against McConnell.
Oh my goodness. Trump. I'll get you, Trump. How dare you disparage my good name? The McConnell name in Kentucky is revered for the honor that it stands for. And you try to besmirch me. You besmirched me for the last time.
I know that people disagree with me, but it would be good if President Trump, for the next 2 years, it would be good if there were incentives for even people like McConnell to just overtly back President Trump. The thing is, in terms of the game of politics, it's not like Democrats. In terms of the political game, it's not like all these Democratic politicians fall in line. The loyalty is unbelievable, but they don't do so because they really love one another. They don't do so because you have these ideals that bind all of them. Democrats, from Bernie Sanders to Biden, have completely different viewpoints on policies. They fall in line because it's a political machine. J-Spot51. Imagine what he would be able to accomplish. Imagine what he would be able to accomplish. Exactly. Well, yeah, I agree. I mean, J-Spot51. Imagine what he would be able to accomplish. Arya Lee, hello. Hello, everybody. Imagine what he would be able to accomplish if he had a Republican Party by his side. The one thing that President Trump needs to do is realize that there are political incentives. Like, he can't, even if he helped Senate Republicans gain seats or House Republicans gain seats, even if he did that, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have politicians who will then show loyalty or, defend President Trump when times are tough because they fear media. He has to give them incentives to support his policy ideas or his taking over the Republican Party that overshadow media condemnation. And I'm not saying that Trump has to embrace their rear end. What I'm saying is the next 2 years, it can't just be letters against McConnell. So it was good. It was good that he kind of took McConnell to the woodshed, took him to the cleaners. But you can't always do that. Linus, hello. That's right. It's been a while. It's been a while. Yes, thank you. I just think that it's a good thing right now that Trump is he's more influential now than he was when he was on Twitter. Because what he was able to, what happened on Twitter or Facebook was that the momentum grew in opposition to President Trump the more he tweeted. The opposition to Trump grew in momentum. And the points or arguments or claims that he was making didn't resonate because he was playing at Foxborough negative 20 degrees or at Lambeau Field. It was like if you try to communicate as a Republican or even as President Trump did, Eric H526, thank you very much, Eric H526. Hold on one second. So, if you look, ladies and gentlemen, at President Trump, if you look at President Trump the last couple of years on social media, especially on Twitter, he was losing steam in terms of getting his message across. The 2 years, the year prior to the actual election in 2016, what he was able to do is communicate through Twitter and social media his vantage point, and he was able to actually do interviews on MSA. He was on Morning Joe all the time. He was there. He was on Morning Joe with Joe and Mika. He was interviewed by CBS and NBC. He was able to go ahead and he was able to communicate his vantage point and offer people a choice. So they had a choice. They said, well, we can have Clinton, which would be an extension, and she would be actually more conservative than President Obama or more of a hawk in terms of foreign policy. And foreign policy, it was one of the main reasons people voted for President Trump. Foreign policy to Democrats is Facebook ads. That's it. That's all they care about. And NATO. and Russia, because they don't have an actual foreign a foreign policy vision. They had the Lincoln Project embedded within the Democratic Party, and now they've kicked the Lincoln Project to the curb because they're despicable. These are the same people, by the way, who judged President Trump. These are the same people, by the way, who claimed that Trump was immoral. Could you imagine? The most immoral people spent their life claiming that Trump was immoral. Trump has a personality that, okay, he's belligerent, he's in your face, but he does have a softer side, and that's another thing. He needs to it would be good if Trump had a debate or discussion with Anderson Cooper or Maddow. It would be very good. And if he was the Jonathan Swan thing was a fiasco, because he wasn't ready to deal with, if President Trump could just relax and do what he did in 2015 and deal with the most petulant and malicious activists, not even journalists, they're really activists. And if he just stood there calmly and said, issued rebuttals to their arguments in a calm and deliberate manner, and if he was able to just show that, look, he's a human being as well, and not this monster, not this orange menace. If he was able to show his human side, because on social media, every day he bolstered the idea that he was this otherworldly creature, this monster. When he went after people, when he fought back, it fed into their fantasies about him. Casey Martin, keep up the good work. Thank you, Casey. Jimbo! Hi, H.A. Maybe acting is. I was pulling the strings. Jimbo! Well, Jimbo, thank you very much. I hope all is well. Hope everybody is doing well in Australia. We pretty much know. I'll leave it at this. I'll answer that in the following, Jimbo. The left does not or I should say Democratic voters have gotten nothing from their president. They've gotten nothing. They've really gotten, what have they received? Really, what have they received? What have they received in terms of policies that they wanted? They're not getting a Green New Deal legislation. They're not getting Green New Deal legislation. They're not getting any a Green New Deal, a Medicare for all. So what are they getting? They're not getting universal basic income. Where's the immigration bill that they're pushing? They're not pushing an immigration bill. They've been talking about voter suppression for years and years. Where's the bill addressing from John Conyers and Jim Sensenbrenner, the Voting Rights Amendment Act? Where's any legislation that Democrats, they want to curtail the Second Amendment? It was liberals in California and other blue states that have purchased more firearms now than ever. That's why you literally can't get, it's impossible to get one. Thank God, I embraced the Second Amendment a long time ago, so I'm okay. If you're watching this channel, you're probably okay as well. But records have been broken. Because if you defund police, then you probably... Democrats want to defund police and also prevent law-abiding citizens from engaging in their Second Amendment rights, or from utilizing their Second Amendment rights. That makes no sense at all. Mike Cavallero, thank you, Mike. Mike, thank you so very much. Mike, thank you. They don't have, they have to govern now. And, the only thing that they've, the primary Mike, thank you again. The primary, their appeal to voters the past year and a half was the following. Well, we're not Trump. That's all they cared about. Casey Martin, Jimbo, Mike Cavallero, thank you, Mike. That's all they cared about, was not being Trump. That's all they cared about. What is it? You can go look at, you don't have to be on Twitter. I do not have Twitter. If you see anyone on Twitter impersonating me, definitely take screenshots, let people know, or let Twitter know that someone's breaking the law and impersonating me. But I haven't had Twitter for 2 years. I haven't had Facebook for over 2 years. Actually, going on 3 years now. I haven't had Twitter. I haven't had Facebook. 2019, 2020, all of this year, I haven't had Facebook or Twitter. But you don't need Facebook or Twitter to go and, you don't need those platforms. You do not need those platforms to see what's happening. The left is imploding. They're imploding. Because they're not the issue of climate change is important, but the way that they're fanatics when it comes to policies that they obsess over. So the rhetoric never correlates to the governing. The rhetoric is the planet is going to end soon. And then the actual legislation is, incremental change. So they don't believe the words, the extreme, the hyperbole. They don't believe, because they truly believed what they allege to. If they truly believe that climate change is an existential threat, they wouldn't engage only in incremental change. They would pass Green New Deal legislation, and then they'd have to sell the economic impact, or they'd have to justify the economic impact to the country. They don't want to do that. They want to sit on the fence. Just like with the national anthem protest. They're not going to kneel, but they'll derive every ounce of political utility from people who do kneel. So it's like this. The grift is on one side. There's no grift in supporting President Trump. If you support President Trump, like I do, you want Americans home from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. You want an end to regime change and interventions. That's why people who vote for Trump perhaps once voted for Bernie Sanders, like myself, or are open to voting for Tulsi Gabbard or liked Tulsi Gabbard. But what is it that Tulsi Gabbard, Jill Stein, Donald Trump, and Bernie Sanders all had in common? They were against regime changes. Well, Bernie Sanders voted alongside, for the same candidate the Lincoln Project voted for. So that should tell you about the left. I kept bringing that up. I said, don't you find it odd? Don't you find it bizarre, ladies and gentlemen? Don't you find it so bizarre that Bernie Sanders, a Democratic socialist who would vote alongside the Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld Republicans, and then the whole thing with Rush Limbaugh, it's like you've never seen more despicable behavior. They're rejoicing. Why? Because in their minds, he should be given zero respect and he should be condemned even during his passing. But it was Madam Secretary who started the birther myth. That's a Guardian article I talked about in the upload prior to this one. It was Madam Secretary who started the birther myth. It wasn't Limbaugh. She was running against President Obama. And David Plouffe called her campaign sharing a photo of President Obama to further that myth the most offensive and shameful fear-mongering of the election. She used the word predator for a reason. So did Biden. But they're given a free pass. All the indiscretions and sins of Democrats are swept under the rug. See, you got to understand, they live to condemn and judge. A great many Democrats live their lives to condemn and judge. But they demand empathy they demand empathy, and they demand that you forget the fact that they started the birther myth, or that they destroyed countries, turned Libya into a failed state. I can't believe nobody talks about that. I'm the only person in all of YouTube that actually brings that up. That's like a non-issue. Exactly. Eric H526, that's right. But see, again, they call it whataboutism. Oh, don't bring up whataboutism. It's like, no, it's called hypocrisy. You can't go ahead. You cannot condemn and judge. You can't condemn and judge when you engage in the behavior that you're condemning. Does that make any sense? That's what hypocrisy is about. That's what hypocrisy is about. You can't condemn and judge when you cannot condemn and judge when you're engaging in the same behavior. So notice how all of these people are going after Rush Limbaugh because of, 4 or 5 or 6 comments that he made or statements that he made that were uncivil or that were controversial. But you have Democrats who have made the same you have Hollywood celebrities who have made the same worse statements. Worse. I can't even tell you what is it, Peter Fonda? What he said about President Trump's son. I can't even like the YouTube algorithm, you can't even bring it up. I'm typing it right now. I can't even. And then Peter Fonda apologizes for vulgar Barron Trump tweet. Okay. All they do is apologize when they get caught. And when this is the thing. When it comes to policies, notice how nobody's talking about the subject, the policies or topics that enraged and turned them into these indignant leftists. Where's Peter Fonda now with Biden's immigration policy? Has it been altered to where those facilities aren't being used? No. And where was Peter Fonda? Where were any of these actors or actresses during the Senate report that I can't even talk about? There was a Senate report during President Obama's administration that I can't even talk about. It's not even you can't even read it. Because in terms of YouTube policies, it would break the policy agreement. But there was a Senate report that talked about worse things that took place, worse than anything that happened during President Trump's administration on that topic. They don't have arguments, ladies and gentlemen. What they do is engage only in hyperbole. Trump is the reincarnation of the 1930s and 1940s Germans. This is not only inaccurate and shows complete ignorance of history, and to the point where Yad Vashem in Jerusalem, and I wrote about this in the Jerusalem Post. Read my Jerusalem Post op-ed on hagoodman.com. By the way, to my new Patreons, thank you so very much. If you want to support my voice, you can go to hagoodman.com. My Patreon is there. But ladies and gentlemen, they don't really have they have to go and level extreme arguments against Trump. And Republicans did this also against President Obama initially. They don't really have any legitimate, they don't really have any policy disagreements. You notice it's all about Trump's personality or things that he said or things that he meant but didn't say. Or they just make things up like The Atlantic. So the Atlantic article, they just make things up. Notice that, thank you, Eric. Notice that with the Atlantic article and the Steele dossier was completely fabricated. Okay? Completely fabricated. And so I'm reading the Peter Fonda tweet. I can't even bring it up. It's so out there. It's so full of venom and malice, and it's hysterical. Not hysterical in a good way, like this fanatical, horrendous, horrible, despicable tweet. It's swept under the rug. But you don't judge Peter Fonda by that statement. You don't judge his entire life. What media does, and many Democrats and many liberals do, is they look at their political opponents and they say their lives are judged by 5 or 6 or 7 quotes. If you did the same, if you judged Biden's life or President Obama's entire life by his NATO intervention, which was worse than anything that happened during President Trump's administration, much worse. If you did that, they would never allow that to happen. They would say, no, you need context. It wasn't his fault. They always demand context when they're the ones. They demand context when they're the ones being judged. They completely remove nuance and context when they're judging and condemning. And the reason this happens, and I keep saying, is because there's no Republican Party. There's no opposition political party. Republicans they don't serve as an opposition political party. In 2022, hopefully they will be. I think that they will be. But they don't serve as an actual opposition political party now. So you have people enamored, you have people enamored with media attention they receive simply because they oppose Trump. And maybe they convince themselves into thinking, well, I'm getting all of this media attention. I'm sure one day I can take over the Republican Party. President Trump has been impeached twice, and he still is ahead of George Washington and Reagan and Abraham Lincoln among Republican voters and every other president. So that's not going to happen. You're not going to have a Mitt Romney or a Ben Sass take over the Republican Party. It ain't going to happen. That's not going to happen. But what you do need, ladies and gentlemen, I do think that President Trump, if he toned it down a little bit, if he found this should be some kind of summit or some kind of conference where he meets up with Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz and Ron DeSantis and Richard Grenell and Doug Collins and Devin Nunes, some kind of, they have CPAC, he should have Trump PAC or something, I don't know, some kind of, he should have some kind of, well, if he belongs there, for what? That's the thing. He didn't do he never committed a crime, whereas Democrats did. Hold on one second. I love when people say Trump belongs in prison, and then you ask them why. It's he did this and that. It's well, he was already investigated for that, so They say that he's the most corrupt president ever, but they can't list any criminal activity. So now they just point to, well, the Southern District in New York is going after Trump. Well, they're always going after Trump. They're an extension of the Democratic Party. So, by the way, I don't want to get into it. Tim Pool has a great segment on the bird watcher, the lady who tried to falsely file call the police on somebody that he wasn't doing anything wrong, and then the prosecutors. It's interesting. The prosecutors. I don't want to get into it, but it's a great segment. You should check it out. In a way, I understand why the New York prosecutors acted the way they did, but I can't really get into it. But ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and you type in Trump and it's like, see here, New York Times, promotions for female generals were delayed over fears of Trump's reaction. It's like he was the first president to actually nominate his Central Intelligence chief was a female. Okay, Richard Grenell also was the director of national intelligence, also broke barriers. But they're still trying to go ahead. It's like, please, I know for sure this was almost certainly and where's the evidence for this? Okay, then chairman we have two Pentagon feared. This is so funny. Where do they get this? This is all gossip in here. They have no evidence for this. So they make these claims. Here's a typical New York Times article. They make claims with zero evidence. Where's the evidence for this? And you're not going to get any there's no equivalent here for an article on Biden. Last fall, Pentagon senior leaders agreed that two top generals should be promoted. For the defense, Esper and General Miley worried that if they raise their how do we know this? So the Pentagon officials agreed. Where's the evidence for this? Now they're not even saying according to officials. There's no evidence. There are no quotes. Where is the evidence for this? It's like unbelievable. It's just typical, and then you type in President Biden. Oh, this is interesting. CNN, Biden makes at least four false statistical claims at CNN town hall. That's bizarre that CNN would even write that. Biden dislikes White House pampering. Trump had bragged about opulence. Oh, wow. So here, this is like Biden's stimulus check update. Where's your check? What's the latest? If it was Trump, it would be like, people are suffering while Trump enjoys hamburgers. Oh my God. News at 5. That's right. CG3SSF, hello. That's right. It really was. They ain't no future in your frontin'. That's right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's see here. We'll go 10 more minutes. This was fun. I will be back tomorrow around the same time. Hopefully, I'll try to go earlier. Now Biden is making the false claim that he didn't have the ability for the shot in the arm prior to becoming president, which was, of course, false on so many levels. Biden's stand shows Dems split on student debt. They're not even getting, they're getting nothing. See, with the left, they don't compromise. That's what, people who look at the Democratic Party don't understand. There's no compromise on the left, which is understandable. I'm not even judging that, because you have people on progressives and left-leaning people who truly believe lives are being lost without Medicare for all. They truly believe this. So they cannot compromise. They cannot, incremental change is an affront to them. So Democrats gave them nothing. But they did, they're always going to give their support to the Democratic Party. They're always going to give their support to the Democratic Party. And they're never going to get exactly what they want, which is there's no room for compromise on the left, because their vantage point is the planet will end. People are losing their lives because of no Medicare for all. You need universal basic income because capitalism doesn't work. These are vantage points they have that are it's non-negotiable. That's why they spend their lives on Twitter with these moral, it's like preaching every day, this moralizing. They get on their soapbox. Oh yeah, Democrats did this. No, you could do it. Blah, blah. It's like they don't care. Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, they don't care. It'll be interesting when Democrats lose the House in 2022. It'll be very interesting, because then you'll have Trump Republicans taking over the House. You'll have Trump Republicans taking over the House, and it'll be a completely different ballgame. It'll be a completely different ballgame. So, there's no such thing as compromise on the left. So that's an inherent within Democratic politics is a huge problem, a major dilemma. If they didn't have all of Hollywood, notice this is something interesting. The fact that Jimmy Kimmel, the fact that Stephen Colbert, the fact that Hollywood producers and directors, and you talk about the Lincoln Project probably has nothing on Hollywood and the directors and producers. Could you imagine if all the skeletons came out? Could you imagine if all the skeletons came out, especially on people who devoted their lives the past 4 years? But where would the Democratic Party be without Twitter, without Jimmy Kimmel, without Hollywood, and without corrupt intelligence officials? Where would they be? They have no policies that they're implementing that left-leaning voters really like. They're compromising on student debt. They're compromising on stimulus checks. So, what? They're not passing Medicare for all. The thing is being held up by smoke and mirrors. It's a complete racket. It is such a racket. The thing is, people don't want to be shunned. Like Adam Kinzinger said, oh yeah, his family was people don't want to be shunned, and people don't want to be, oh my God, I'm seeing this. That's crazy. I'm seeing this spider just go down the spider web. Anyway, oh, goodness. All right, hold on 1 second. 1 second.
Oh my goodness. Sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to call it an evening. The spiders are out. The spiders are out to get me. The Democratic spiders are out to get me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much to my super chat. To my super chat, thank you. And no. It's just, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much to my super chat. Thank you. And it has been fun. I will be back tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. I will be back tomorrow, same time. To my super chat, thank you. Thanks, everybody. It's been awesome. The Democratic spiders are out. They're out to get me. Give me your thoughts. Thank you so much. I will see you all tomorrow, everybody. Thank you so very much.